What's going on, guys? This is the 5 Yard Pass review from Matchday 4 of the Premier League this season. This is Sudi. I'm Sudi, and this is Sham. We're just a bit shell shocked from last night. Yeah, absolutely shell shocked from this weekend. Like, I don't know
Right,
who
what
wrote this
happened last
episode.
night?
I don't know what happened. I don't know who wrote this episode of the Premier League, but I mean,
Oh,
there's just so much to talk about. But before we get into, like, I guess 4 of the best games, we just wanted to brush over some of the smaller results really in like a weekend of crazy drama. So Arsenal beating Sheffield, just keeping us in good form. Saka and Pepe scoring. They played quite well, to be fair. Arsenal, I thought. They're getting a bit of stick for playing basic football, but I think Arteta's doing well there. Wolves get back on track against Fulham 1-0. This should kick on like we said it would kick on this season. I think it will. Southampton beating West Brom. Newcastle doing quite well against Burnley 3-1. Saint Maxim and Callum Wilson getting 1 and 2 apiece. And then we'll kind of get into the nitty-gritty now. So Everton versus Brighton. As the sun would rise, is as certain as Dominic Calvert-Lewin scoring and James Rodriguez assisting. That's what it seems like. Everton at the minute
he got one and Rodriguez got 2, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And Rodriguez assisted Calvert-Lewin. No, I think Leighton Baines. I think
He assisted Mina's goal. He assisted Mina's goal. Yeah.
That's right. So let's just touch on Everton really quickly. For me, I think for everyone else, it's quite simply they are the best team in the league at the minute, on form, purely on form. Not Liverpool is the best team, but purely on form. They're just too hot to handle, and they have Liverpool next in 2 weeks after the Nations League.
I think they're the only team with a 100% record, right? So yeah, you'd say
Yeah. No, I think Villa. No, Villa have
the bookies' favourites to win the title, but they're the best team on form. Yeah.
No, they wouldn't be. Of course, they wouldn't be. Well, Villa has as well, but they played a game less.
Yeah, true.
So we'll get to that Villa game in a second. But I think there's not much to say, man. I think it gets better. Like, as the team gets better, there's always less to say, and I think there's very little to say about Everton in the minute.
I think the fact that it was quite routine and expected, and that they've just pulled it off, that probably says more than anything else.
Yeah,
because they have been they've been a team that have flattered to deceive in the past.
Yeah, and like, just hypothetically, right? You look at the next 4 games. They got Liverpool next. They get a point out of that incredible game.
Can you just see that's home or away?
That's home. That's at Goodison.
Okay.
So they have Liverpool, Southampton, Newcastle, United, and Fulham. They probably beat United. They probably get 4 of the next 5 games. Wins from 4 of the next 5 games.
I wouldn't expect them to beat Liverpool, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
So I think let's say a draw there if they play at the very best, and Liverpool's still kind of licking their wounds a bit. That's a team that's going into December in the top 2, top 3. You know, I'm not trying to get ahead. I'm not trying to be a very superficial fan here, but I'm just saying they're putting themselves into a great position to get Champions League.
A good mate of mine's in Everton, man, and he was very quiet normally. He wouldn't shut up till I met him today. Yeah, he was in a very good mood. Yeah, and good on them. They bought well. They've got good players. They've kept things simple. So
and I mean, this isn't another world. But if they go and win the league this year, which they won't, but would be the perfect antidote to Liverpool winning it last year for me. So. All right, well done, Everton. Chelsea, very routine win. I think we can kind of brush over this, but we did say it could go either way, but I think they did really well against a Palace that has shown that they can beat top 4 sides, top 6 sides. Just looking through who scored. Sorry, 1 second, Sham. So Chilwell getting 1.
Chilwell played his first game, played very well, actually. And then Zuma scored a nice header.
Yeah.
And Jorginho got 2 penalties. It did annoy me after the game. He went to line up for the 4th goal, and Abraham wanted it because they were 3-0 up. Abraham wanted to score a goal, and Azpilicueta had to pull Abraham away to let Jorginho score it. And Frank Lampard must have been asked about it 15 million times, give or take, about it afterwards, and he's like, "We dealt with it," you know. But it just shows like the level of focus on one small thing can just blow something out to be much bigger than it is, and you just kept saying, "No, we dealt with it. It's fine." So good on him for dealing with it that way. But unlikely goal scorers, and it shows their system may not quite be working the way they want it to yet, but they are getting results, and that's a good thing.
Okay, so next game, we'll talk about City and Leeds.
We picked this one. You actually picked the score, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Sterling getting the standard early goal for City, Rodrigo getting a 59-minute goal. It was actually a ridiculously entertaining match, and I just want to say, I think besides the match, like I think it went exactly as I thought it would because they're both pressing teams. They both come to play, and when someone comes to play against Guardiola, I think he often finds it quite hard to know what else to do because I have you ever seen Guardiola with a plan B? Sorry, my thing is
Not
passing away.
really. No, he does tend to he likes to stick to try to remove players around, but the basic ideas around.
Yeah, and I think it's quite interesting seeing Pep in press conferences now since Liverpool won the league, which coincides with the fact I don't know if you know, but his mum died from COVID. Did you know that?
I knew she passed. I didn't realize it was from COVID.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it was, his mum passed. Like, I'm sure she would have been relatively young. Him being in his 40s, yeah, he's only in his 40s, so she'd be quite relatively young. But I'm just saying, he seems to have this kind of like K Sarah, kind of like whatever it would be. He used to be quite intense in interviews, and I think what's happening around the world has kind of changed his perspective. And like, look, if we draw, we draw. What can we do? You know, I don't know if that's means he's lost his edge, or he's a bit more. He's a man who can kind of stand to lose now.
Is it a momentary thing or is it indicative of a longer trend? It's an interesting question because he has always looked very like intense and focused on one thing. He's starting to see the bigger picture. Is that just something that's been brought about by the family illness?
Yeah.
Or is that indicative of him becoming a more mature human being?
Yeah, and I'm sure he relished going up against Bielsa, just as like kind of one real tactician to
hero,
another.
didn't he? He kind of referred him as like a hero of managers.
Yeah. I was telling my father prior to Leeds. I mean, I think it was the start of last season that I personally feel Bielsa is the best manager in the world. I'm just saying as a tactician, and I think you put almost any other manager with his Leeds team, you're not getting what you get from Bielsa. Let alone if Bielsa goes over to a City or goes over to has an Arsenal type of players, or it's scary to think what he would do. So just looking at the stats here, like it wasn't like it wasn't even a mismatch. Like 53% possession to Leeds. Leeds had 7 shots on target. City only had 2. Leeds had more passes than City. Leeds had the same pass accuracy as City. Like it was match for match, man. Like it was no joke,
Yeah, it was a proper game of football. Like I don't recall, maybe only once or twice a season did Guardiola's Barcelona get out-possessioned. It's a very rare thing. That's more the Barca team. I'm not sure of the stats with City, but for a team, and not only that, Leeds do play possession football at high tempo. It is a hard thing to maintain against a team like City. So, good on them. Good on them.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, well, one more. West Ham, Leicester. West Ham just on a run, and it's down to I think football manager Moyes. He's managing the team from his house with a screen on, like we said. He's playing football manager in 4D, and he's fucking killing it, man. Throwback to you when you took Russian and Diamonds and won the Champions League.
They had. I was talking with someone about Football Manager the other day, and this was back in the day when he was Everton manager. And I remember in my game he became Newcastle manager, and I remember having an argument with someone. Moyes.
Oh, your friend. Oh, Moyes.
I was arguing with my friend, and Moyes had become Newcastle manager in my game, but he was obviously Everton manager in the real world. I remember having an argument with someone saying, no, he's Newcastle manager. Like, just your sense of reality just completely warped by Football Manager.
No dragons from Game of Thrones are real. Okay, so let's get again, not much to say here. I just think I'm only saying not much to say.
It must be a record, right? For those two teams, United and Liverpool, to lose by 5 goals on the same day. That's got to be a record.
Sorry, what do you mean? Sorry.
United and Liverpool both lost.
Oh, Liverpool. Oh, you said. Yeah. Sorry. Excuse me. Yeah. So just quickly, I just want to just talk about the stats in the West Ham game. It's quite interesting. So they reduced Leicester to no shots. West Ham themselves at 6. Pretty good pass accuracy. Almost no possession from West Ham. Done the job 3-0. It was very impressive, honestly. So yeah, well done to West Ham.
This is a Leicester team that beat Man City by 3 the week before. I remember telling you that they have a certain way of playing, and they obviously were not. I did not watch that game, but it looks like they were not able to impose themselves on that game. So good work to West Ham. Like you said, West Ham on a bit of a roll now. So momentum's a big thing in this league because there's a lot of teams who are very similar in ability. So to get a few good results just gets you a bit further along than it would have in the
Speaking
past.
speaking of ability, let's just talk. We'll go to the United game first. Okay, so United game starts off 38 seconds. I remember looking at the clock. Um, Martial gets brought down in the box. Fernandes slots a penalty. You're thinking this is going to be another Ollie masterclass. And then,
I thought when they scored, like I thought they've gone forward with so much purpose. They just look good. Like I wasn't surprised that they won a penalty. I remember thinking,
yeah,
oh, this could be something, and then
yeah. And then and Ndombele scores and Son scores. Anthony Martial gets a red card in 28 minutes. Personally, it was a red card, but the fact that Lamela doesn't get sent off is absolutely fucking. Oh, it infuriated me.
you'd think
Um,
common sense would dictate they both get the same punishment. Yeah.
Absolutely. But looks, Anthony Martial, he's been in the Premier League now, so 6 years. I mean, he's a professional footballer, good 8, 9 years. You raise your hand, you've done a stupid thing. Like that's it. There's no, yeah.
And he's obviously
Son goes,
frustrated at the way the game's going. And Lamella
yeah,
like is achieved exactly what he wanted to achieve. They didn't win any
absolutely.
hands
Against
and got
against the
taken
South,
off at halftime, but
yeah,
achieved exactly
against
what
a
he
South
wanted to do.
American player, very very clever.
Yeah.
Harry
Like
Kane
all
scores.
over again. Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, Harry Kane scores two. Son gets another one. Sergio Aurier gets one in the 51st, and we have our biggest defeat. This is not a United podcast by any means, but both of us being United fans, heaviest defeat since that 6-1 against City in 2011. I think I don't even know what to say. So yeah, give us your thoughts on. Let's just go. What do you think went wrong, and do
It,
you think we would have lost if we had 10, 11 men?
oh yeah, what happened? The defense crumbled. The defense looked like a house of cards.
Yeah,
The first goal, Maguire tries to header it, then Bailly sort of pops it up in the air, and then it just bubbles and bubbles and bubbles, and eventually the other team's going to get a touch on it. Somehow, Maguire kind of stuffed up for that first goal, just being in the wrong sort of spot and place. And what happened from there is that the defense just completely lost confidence. Tottenham went in for the kill. Harry Kane is the perfect type of player for that situation. Had a great eye for the second goal. I don't think United were really at fault for the second goal. Kane was just that quick in releasing the ball from the free kick that anybody would have been
oh
caught up
yeah,
on that. Yeah,
yeah.
that free kick that Son scored. But all the goals, like the goal that was furthest out, like you look at Liverpool's game, there were goals scored from outside the box. Like the goals in United's game, the longest distance would have to be the penalty. But all the
Mm.
goals were scored from closer than the penalty spot.
Tap in.
And the
Son's
defense just
Son's
looked
first goal was
so.
actually incredible.
It
Sorry, Son's
literally,
second goal.
yeah. You talk. Well, De Gea could have done a bit better with that. That's the only goal I'll probably go. What happened there? Because he left a gap between his legs, and you never do that as a keeper.
Mm.
There's only one job in the world where you leave a gap between your legs. But the
Yay.
idea is, hey, but
Being
like
the Liverpool keeper,
I've
you mean?
you use this. This is often used as a euphemism. I've never really used it, but it literally looked like schoolboy defending. Like it was,
Mm.
they looked like a bunch of kids that didn't really know how to play, and they're professionals earning hundreds of thousands of pounds a week. And I think I don't want to point the finger at him, but I felt like it was on Maguire. It's sort of Maguire's nerves that spread through everyone, and he's supposed to be that. He's been brought in to be that leader. He's brought in
Yeah,
to be that sort of John Terry type of player.
yeah.
And from him, it just spread through, and then they lost a bit of confidence going forward. You could see fouls in the second half. Martial's red card. They were all signs of frustration. Um,
Yeah.
like you could look at the Liverpool game and say that's an aberration, but you
Oh,
can look at the
absolutely.
United game and say that they were.
I want to spend more time and
They
I
were.
want to dissect Liverpool more. But my thought is this: like, I think there's almost no point, as us fans, as pundits, and Gary Neville. I mean, people like Gary Neville, I guess, have more of a right to kind of dissect things. But I think I don't mean to get philosophical, but it's like the United States in them. When you have shit leadership, when you have absolute mockery going around in the boardroom, when you have when like every single day your position could be at stake because of a potential transfer, um, or if you're Pogba or you're Fernandes looking at the club going like, would you not pay an extra 5 million for Sancho? There's this kind of intangible kind of frustration or unrecognizable frustration that kind of seeps in very slowly. It just kind of creeps in, and before you know it, man, your whole club is just toxic.
you don't want to
And
feel like it's all on you. You want to feel like everybody's moving in the same direction and you're part of that and you're adding to that. There'd be a lot of guys,
absolutely.
United right now that think, oh, it's on me. I have to do everything.
You
And
watch. I saw the whole. Like I'm not gonna lie, man. I turned off at the on the sixth goal, 80th minute. I turned it off. I was like, this is horrific. I turned it back on when it was 1-0, like just after Villa scored their first goal, and then I watched the whole game. Like it genuinely made me feel better. I'm not gonna lie. And Van Dijk at the press conference, he laughed, like he was giggling because like that's the amount of confidence that he has. He knows like we're gonna beat Everton next week or 2 weeks time. Like I have full confidence that Liverpool can go and do it. But United play. Who do we play next? And I think we play Newcastle next. Yeah, we play Newcastle away next.
yeah,
I don't know if we get a draw, man. Like this is like shit. This could be the start of 2 or 3 losses against. Let's see.
United.
Jesus.
The thing
We
is, they
have
actually
dude.
look
We have
good.
Newcastle. We have Newcastle, Paris, Chelsea, Red Bull Leipzig, Arsenal, Istanbul, and Everton in our next 7 games in a row.
Jesus.
Like this could be the start of 5 of the next 7 games of heavy losses.
Yeah, and
It's
not
not funny.
losses, but heavy losses. Yeah.
It's not funny. Like
And all of those
Liverpool
teams would
bounce
look at
back.
that game and gone, this is like, how much confidence would an Arsenal or a Chelsea or a Leipzig get from that result? Newcastle. Like, we're going to have a go at these, you know?
Absolutely.
So it becomes like a cycle where United cycle and the other teams like that.
And
And it just leads to these inverse results.
and just to touch on transfer, so United have confirmed. Fabrizio Romano confirmed yesterday as well. Edison Cavani, 5 years too late for me. 3 years too late for me. Alex Telles, fair enough. They did good business there, but too good business too late. Why are you bringing him in now? Why wasn't he brought in 2 weeks ago when the season started?
Giovanni's been brought in to basically replace Igalo. Like, I mean, like,
Cavani's been brought in as well to just tell the fans, like, oh, we're trying. I think that's my,
I get it. I get why they've got him, but there's so many other things that you would think would be higher priority. If you spend all summer chasing Sancho, if your defense looks like a bunch of popsicle sticks, like there's other things that need to be addressed. Why not take the Sancho money and go after Koulibaly? You know what I mean? Like he is available and he's 29, but he's available.
yeah,
Why not get him?
take the Sancho money, go after. We've said it here before. Alaba, is it Jordi Alaba? No, David Alaba. Sorry, for Man City, for Bayern Munich. I mean, you could name off players, man. People who just make that defense just like one player takes it up just to another level. I don't particularly agree with Patrice ever. He came out and said, "Why are we dropping Maguire?" I think Maguire does need a little bit of fucking mind space to get this Greece thing out of his head. But I do think he's a very, very good
You think it's
defender.
the Greece thing? He's just not looked confident. He looked confident enough last year, but he doesn't
Yeah.
look confident at all now.
Yeah, no, I think he's a good defender. I'm not. I don't think I'm in denial. A United fan denial. I just think this is not an excuse for the game. This is going to be kind of a reason why United just started shit. Almost everything that could go wrong went wrong. Their captain fucked up during the summer. Their starlet and Mason Greenwood fucked up twice over the summer. They gets dropped for England. Nearly every single transfer that they wanted didn't go the way. The fans are turning on them. I think like if Ollie took 5 steps forward, which I think he did last season, he got the best out of a squad that shouldn't have come in the top 5. We've taken 5 steps forward in the last day of last season. We've taken a good amount of those back, and yeah. I mean, it's hard for me. I don't want to go on about United. Okay, this is not. We're just
With a
not
lot
here
of
to
the
chat about
transfer
United, but
speculation, you'd think that they could talk a bit about to the players and keep them, you could talk to the players within the club and keep them on side. My worry is more like things like the coaching. Those types of results. There's clear system breakdowns. Like even the third goal, Bailly tries to pass it from the 6-yard box to a guy in the D under a full press. Clearly, he's been told you need to play it short and pass around. So what's going on with the instructions there? They're not clear. Good instructions should be simple and be able to be acted upon instinctively at that level. So what's going on that he couldn't do that, for example? I think there needs to be a serious look at the coaching. Like Ferguson had really good assistants, Brian Kidd, Steve McLean, Carlos Queiroz. Like they're good assistant number 2s.
Yeah.
We're not hearing a lot about the coaches at United. I get Carrick's there, but he's young. Is Ollie getting that support that he's a younger manager? I know he's been around for 10, 11 years as a manager, but is he getting the support
Yeah.
behind the scenes to who amongst this playing group is getting better apart from Mason
Yeah.
Greenwood and Brandon Williams?
I would say that in the 2000s, besides Ronaldo, Carlos Queiroz is probably Fergie's best signing, and René Molstein. Um,
Mm.
Once he got him, he changed it, and he changed the game. And I remember the 3 years that Carlos Queiroz left to go and coach Mexico, I think it was. No, Madrid. Sorry, he went to Madrid for a while.
He went to Madrid, then I think he did Iran, and I think he did Portugal for a while as well.
And
Jumping around a lot.
and I remember those 3 years where Fergie was kind of lost with like how to play, and he just wasn't getting the right transfers. And he come back, and then we went on 3 again. So, you know, just kind of goes. So is McPherson out of touch? Is Michael Carrick not experienced enough? Is Kieran McKenna as well not experienced enough? But yesterday, I would just say there's no one to blame but the players and the manager. There's just no one else. That was shocking. You are right.
They were outmuscled in midfield. The forwards, I think, were okay. They were stifled. But they outmuscled in midfield. The defense just looked completely bereft of confidence.
Yeah.
De Gea, maybe the fourth goal you could put on him. Maybe he needs to be a bit more vocal with his defenders and give them confidence. You know, people talk about Peter Schmeichel just yelling a lot at the defense, and they're probably terrified of him, but he was a bit like an old school headmaster, like kept them in check and all of that.
So in short, there's not much United can change. I'm trying to think. I think Luke Shaw doesn't start for the next 3 games. I think Alex Teller comes back, slots right in. I think you might see Dean Henderson maybe Dean will probably get the Champions League games, but I don't see much that can change, which is kind of it's very conflicting for me because it's hard. Like, what are you going to change? Like, well, nothing can be changed. We can't drop players after a 6-1 defeat. You want to kind of change things up.
Yeah, I mean,
Van de Beek
would come in. Would you bring in Lindelof? Would that make things better? Would you bring in Cavani? Would it make things better? Yeah, it's not really a lot to go to.
Yeah, well, I guess Cavani will probably play next game just because Martial's out. You'll probably see Cavani play just for that reason. But look, all I'm going to say is, before we get on to Liverpool in a second, all I'm going to say is I hope Cavani and Telles comes in and lifts whatever can be lifted, lifts the team. And just to be clear, this is early days in the season. It's a horrific loss, but it's early days still. I think United will like, what would be our point if goal difference now would be horrific?
The last thing
-6. -6 goal difference. No big deal. Hopefully we can close that gap, get some points, and kick on.
The one thing that I'll say is that it did remind me of that Arsenal losing 8-2 to United. Wenger did actually go and buy 5 players after that. United went by 5 players. But the reason I bring it up is that one of the players he bought was Mikel Arteta after that loss.
I remember
leadership of the club, who's now come back to manage the club, obviously. So you'd hope somehow there's some silver lining that comes from. You hope that this is sort of the bottom, you know, in terms of just the way that it fell apart.
Can I just say one last thing? If I was Ollie, honestly, and it's easy for me to say, it would be easy for Ollie to say, if I was Ollie, I'd almost just go like, fuck man, Ed, I've had enough. Like, I was thinking about this last night, sitting there looking at Ollie and goes, I've asked for him. I've gone and lost 6-1. I put out what I think is our best team out. I've gone and lost 6-1. I'd almost want to quit the job. I'm not saying that he should. I'm saying that's the kind of feeling I'd get if I was Ollie.
You'd almost feel he might do that to make a statement. That'd be the only reason to do it.
He'd be a hero. He would be a hero. Absolutely.
You'd start the whole Glazers out movement, wouldn't you?
There's Man United, and then there's Glazers United.
And then there's this definite pattern of United not qualifying for the Champions League and spending money, and United qualifying for the Champions League and not spending a lot of money. And you think they could sort of even it out a bit and just qualify every year. But yeah, questions need to be asked about that lot, managing United, owning United at the moment. 1, how they did it, but 2, what they're doing to the club.
Absolutely. All right. And after that horrific... And in lighter news, definitely a blip, but Liverpool go on to lose 7-2 against Villa. Let's just get I just want to... it genuinely just makes me feel better just even saying it after. I'm not in any order, but Ollie Watkins, beautiful, perfect hat-trick, I think it was. Johnny McGinn, Johnny McGinn, had really nice left foot volley, slight deflection, great goal. Ross Barkley as well, incredible goal. Jack Grealish getting 2, and Mo Salah slotting in here and there with 2. Second finish was quite nice by Mo Salah actually. But look, 7-2. Villa had Villa had a near perfect game, 11 shots, 7 goals. There's nothing here to. If you looked at the stats, you think Villa lost the game. So you think it'd be an even game, but there's not much to dissect here. Liverpool didn't turn up. There was no money, and he kind of presses from the front way better than a Minamino or a Jota. This won't happen again in this kind of Liverpool's in this team.
Massive aberration. Yeah.
Yeah, this will never happen. They might lose again because I think the blueprint is there to see how they lose, especially without Mane.
Of the 7 goals, there's a combination of individual errors, like the Adrian just giving a shocking pass to Gomez at first, and a few deflections that could have gone anywhere but ended up in the back of the net. I think there was a 3 that I remember. And the only goal they were probably culpable for where you go that wasn't good enough was the 4th one.
Which was
a free kick sort of came in from the right, and one of the Villa players ran to the byline to get it, and no one ran with him. And all of a sudden, there's one Villa player there with 3 others with nothing between them and goals, and one of them scores. So that one you could have gone, that wasn't good enough. And they all switched off. It proper looked like that Alexander-Arnold Origi goal against Barcelona, like just the way they all switched off Liverpool. But you look at a lot of those goals and you just think, oh, that's a bit of a one-off. Like that deflection could have gone anywhere. Individual mistakes shouldn't happen again. I think missing Alisson and Mane definitely had a contribution. So, you put it down as a one-off, and you think, how in the world did that? And you kind of move on.
I say one-off, but I would not just for Everton's form, but I think no Alisson gives a kind of sense of nervousness the same way United have with at the minute, let's say. But without Alisson, you just kind of, I don't know how to say it, but like you just kind of be looking over your shoulder half the time as Van Dijk. It was his name, Adrian, in goals. And they don't have a better keeper. The other keeper is Caoimhín Kelleher. He's actually from Cork. He's an Irish boy who wouldn't be any better because he's quite young. I think he's about 19. It's
interesting that Adrian actually played pretty well at West Ham. That's how he got the Liverpool move. He had a very good at West Ham, but he doesn't seem to suit just sort of playing as and when the other bloke's not ready. Just doesn't seem to sit with him. And so you kind of have, like Romero at United is like a proper number 2. I know that sounds stupid, but he just seems ready when he has to play. And there's a mindset involved in that Adrian just doesn't have. It's not getting the best out of him. So. And Liverpool did look a bit like that side pre-Alisson at the back, where it was just kind of a bit easier and sort of sloppy mistakes and things like that.
And look, Liverpool for me played a full team besides Mane, and I just want to stress, I think he's what a player he is to show like his impact. That is a different scoreline. I guarantee it's Liverpool 2-0 if Mane's on the field. So Mane's out for at least 3 weeks with Corona. Thiago comes back after the Nations League. Alisson's still out after the Nations League. He doesn't play against Everton.
What is his injury? Do you know?
He's done his shoulder twisted or something shoulder, which
That's great for a keeper. Jeez.
And also you're wondering when he comes back, is that going to be on his mind? Is Liverpool going to go for a keeper today? I wouldn't think so. But it wouldn't surprise me either if you kind of make a last minute deal for.
He's available.
Again, I wish you could say more, but look, it was a nice little remedy for United fans, for myself to watch that game. But just to don't talk about Liverpool United so much, well done to Spurs and Villa. Just took the piss out of 2 of the biggest teams in England, one of the best teams in the world, if not the best team in the world.
Took the piss out of Leicester,
Leicester as well, yeah.
Leeds took the piss out of City. A lot of piss taking this weekend.
Yeah, well, and Leicester did it last weekend. So I'm as sad as it is to see United lose, as kind of weird as it is to see Liverpool lose. It is nice to think that this may not be a one-horse race by October, by December. Sorry.
Yeah.
I take those positives. I mean, I remember as you would as well. Like the 20 years ago, Premier League was like Arsenal, Liverpool, United. Chelsea kind of thereabouts, and it was great to watch until about March, April. You didn't know who the league was going to.
Leeds were there.
Um,
Ipswich had a season where they finished fifth. Like there was
yeah,
all.
yeah. Everton was always amongst it, kind of 2008, 2009. It'd be great to see. It'd be great to see if this kind of evens out again.
I just have a feeling, one, given the more goals are being scored, two, the players haven't really had a pre-season, and this whole Corona thing, the league might take a lot longer to take shape than other seasons, which means
Agreed.
great games
Completely
for
agreed.
us and unpredictable results, and don't
Yeah,
gamble on it for a little while.
yeah. There will be.
People
Yeah,
bet Liverpool to win by 2 goals.
yeah.
They're just going, what the hell happened there?
They definitely will be chaos for a while. Before before things take shape, and it may not. It may only take shape towards the end of like March, February or March, the way it's going.
It will be later
Um,
than normal. It will be
yeah,
just because the season started later than normal.
absolutely,
Even
absolutely.
Tottenham, like having 2 games midweek, like there's things happening that don't normally happen. That just throwing variables in there, and it's creating these bigger score lines as well, because I think it's quicker for players to drop their heads when
Yeah,
you feel under a bit more stress. It's
yeah.
harder to lift your head up when you go a couple of goals down, and that might blow score lines a bit.
And I will say as well, I think I heard. I don't think there's an interrupted week of football until mid-May. Like we have football every
Oh,
single week,
every week is 2 games a week.
every single week. Yeah, every single week. I could be wrong, something like that. But basically, they have no rest.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing for European teams in the Nations League, you have no
If you're
rest.
looking at Chelsea having 2 games Tottenham having 2 games in the midweek,
Yeah,
then there must be something going on that they don't have any other weeks they could slot those games in. So that in itself
yeah.
indicates that there's a long time before you got 1 game a week.
Hmm, hmm.
And the mid-season break will probably go. There'll be a lot of games around Christmas time.
Yeah.
COVID's just
Like
like
just looking, I'm
other
just got
players
Liverpool's.
are going to get COVID and they're going to be out. It's just so many variables.
So I'm just looking at Liverpool's fixtures, which would be quite similar to like a United's or something. So they play in 12 days after the Nations League. So just bear with me. They have the game this is October 17th, 21st, 24th, 27th. So in 10 days, they're 4 games. Sorry, excuse me. 14 days, they're 5 games. And then they go into November. They have 3rd, 7th, 21st. I don't know what the gap is there. So it's quite intense, man. And like the games, you look at Liverpool's games as well, just as someone who lost 7-2. Everton, Ajax, Sheffield, Midtjylland, West Ham, Atlanta, Man City, Leicester. Like, and I
Yeah.
like this kind of flattening out of teams where you're like,
They've had 5 games. They've played Chelsea, Chelsea, Arsenal, and who's the other one? Their 5th game is going to be Everton, and then they've
yeah,
got Man City and Leicester in their first 8 games. Like that's a lot of big teams up front.
yeah, yeah. And
And they've had the whole sort of Community Shield Super Cup games and all that as well. I don't know if the
mm,
World Club Cup's going on this year as well. That might throw a spanner in the works for them.
yeah. So as we end off this
No,
episode,
they're not
so
playing
as
the
it
World Club Cup.
stands,
They're not playing the World Club Cup.
no,
Sorry.
they're not. Sorry, Bayern is. So as it stands, Sham, Everton finishing off the weekend again, perfect record against beating Brighton, Aston Villa second, Leicester City third, Arsenal fourth, both on 9 points there. Sorry, 2, 3, and 4 on 9 points. And the bottom five we have United on a -6 goal difference, 3 points. West Brom, Burnley, Sheffield, Fulham. Man City sitting just pretty above United on 14th as well. So man, it's going to be one hell of a season. It's kind of sad to think United's probably not going to come third like I thought, but I think I did second. I don't know what I was thinking or what I was smoking. Um, great weekend though. Do you think so? Phenomenal
It's
weekend.
a very, very memorable weekend. When you look at, I don't think we got the stats on how many goals have been scored, but
It's 42. It's two less than the all
oh,
time
so only 42.
3 week.
Right.
Because I've been trying to see which weekend could do it, and I was looking at the weekend. The last 2 games to go, I was thinking like, oh man, they need like 15 goals or something, or like 18 goals to tie the record, something like that. And then the game
16
ended up
goals
with.
in the last 2 games. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking before it started, I was thinking like, oh, they need this many goals. Like, no way they're going to score that many goals.
Yeah.
Ended up with
There's no way that Villa
7
and
plus
Tottenham will
6
get
plus
enough
3.
goals to get the scores up. Yeah.
Let's see any interesting games. Not too many interesting games for the. France playing Portugal in the next 2 weeks.
To be
in the
honest,
Nations League.
like you talk to me about the next international games, you talk to me about the next Premier League games. I'm still recovering. Like it was such
Yeah,
a like I almost watched the whole game last night almost as a masochistic thing. Like, what is it like to
yeah.
experience pain? Like it was like I don't know why I watched it. But
You must feel, yeah,
yeah, like it felt like some sort of torture watching the game. Yeah, and to think that there's no obvious way for United. I know again we're an EPL podcast, but I'm a United man, and watching that and thinking that what can they possibly do to get out of that? That was probably the more distressing thing. Whereas Liverpool also lost by 5 goals, but you can come up with some quite immediate solutions to that for them and see it as an aberration as opposed to a pattern.
without a doubt, without a doubt. Anyway, and we'll kind of leave it there, Sham. Thanks for watching, everyone. What a weekend of football, and we'll see you again. We'll see you again at the end of the week. We'll talk about a few nations games, perhaps, and maybe what United can do to transform this season. But as always, we had a 5-year pass. My name is Sudi. This is Sham. Keep football simple, guys, and as always,
Keep passing. Cheers, guys.